The Gold Industry Group's role in championing Australia's gold industry continues to grow as we connect with Australians across the country through our long-term initiatives. Our programs, partnerships, communications and events, just like the one you're at this evening, are influencing perceptions and educating thousands of people across the country, creating a supportive and informed community for our sector. Now, each one of us tonight can play a part in creating change and supporting a diverse future workforce. Centred around education and developing talent pathways to support our future industry, our popular National Gold Education Program has now reached more than 800 schools and thousands of students and teachers. You can get involved in that by becoming a Gold Class facilitator. We've now got more than 80 trained facilitators, and employees have found this experience to be truly rewarding. I'm also part of this scheme. I've delivered sessions to a number of schools. It is absolutely fantastic, and I think you would be blown away to see the interest and enthusiasm that the kids in this state and across the country have for our sector, and we all really need to capitalise on that. I'm sure that there are several other facilitators among the audience this evening, and I know that our champion Jeff Dang is also one of them, so feel free to have a chat to myself or Jeff about that later this evening. You'll also find more information in your gift bag when you leave this evening. Now, I know that you can't wait to hear from our panel, so without further ado, let's begin. So I'm excited to return to the role of Madam Chair for the great 2021 Great Diversity Debate. We have always used this event to explore the most challenging and interesting issues relating to diversity in our sector. And for people that have been here before, you will know that in previous years, we've looked at whether or not we need to fix women or fix the system, whether gender equity targets are a necessary tool or in fact drive mediocrity, or whether a focus on gender diversity alone is in fact hindering progress. But this year, we're shifting focus to an issue that no one has been immune from in the last 2 years, and that's working from home. And so whether we're talking about the maddening conundrum of trying to combine a demanding job whilst at the same time being installed as a surprise relief teacher to what might seem like the world's most unappreciative students, how to create a sense of connection and belonging when we see people face to face so infrequently, or what it means for a site-based workforce who may quite legitimately feel that this is yet another perk that's being extended to an already pampered corporate workforce. But at the same time, undoubtedly, this extends flexibility and balance in a way that has rarely been seen before, both for men and women in our industry. And so, for this year's Great Diversity Debate, this House asks, is working from home a golden opportunity or a cage with gold bars? Now, for those that have been here before, you will know that we have previously used the more analogue show of hands as an indication of audience sentiment and as to who wins the debate, and then I arbitrarily just decide anyway who I think has won. But this year, we are embracing both modernity and democracy, fancy that, and we're going to use a bit more of a fancy tool, and you can now get involved from this point. So what I need you to do is go to www.menti.com and use the code 70127359 and tell us where you stand on this issue right now, and the details are also on the screen. So what we're going to do is we're going to track sentiment over the course of the debate. We're going to see where the audience is now, and we're going to see if our panellists can sway your position. I'd also like to take the opportunity to give a big shout to Vanessa Shug, who was a driving force behind the inspiration for the title of this evening's debate. So thank you, Vanessa. Interesting numbers. How are the panel feeling? Do I see a swagger? Okay, well, look, I think that gives us a pretty good baseline reading of audience sentiment. So let's see what the panellists can do to sway that. So I'm going to introduce our speakers. So first up, speaking for Golden Opportunity, is Jeff Dang, who is the Principal Mining Engineer at Bellevue Gold. Jeff is a mining engineer from Curtin University's WA School of Mines and has more than 14 years' experience with operational and technical roles in underground and open pit gold mining operations across Australia, Africa and South America. Jeff is passionate about diversity in the mining industry and is a diversity champion at Bellevue Gold. Jeff, we love you already. Next, we will have Lisa Rhoden, who is the Manager of Human Resources, Risk and Sustainability at Ramelius Resources. Lisa is a passionate gold industry advocate, having worked with St Barbara for 10 years, where she led the Australian Operations HR team and played a key role in establishing and maintaining their WGEA Employer of Choice status. Lisa has specialist knowledge ranging from diversity and inclusion, HR systems, employee relations and remuneration and benefits, which she's excited to bring to this evening's debate. Lisa, we are very excited to hear from you on this topic. Now, contrary to popular belief, you can have too much of a good thing. So after you've heard from the first two speakers, we're going to give you an opportunity to catch your breath, grab a quick drink and something to eat, and then we will rejoin after a short intermission. And you will then hear from Holly Keenan, Mining Systems, Standards and Technology Specialist at AngloGold Ashanti Australia, who is going to be arguing for golden opportunity. Holly graduated also from Curtin University's WA School of Mines as a mining engineer and grew up in the city of Kalgoorlie-Boulder and has held various production and technical roles in the underground gold mining sector. Holly is a passionate member of AngloGold Ashanti's Diversity and Inclusion Committee and enjoys promoting positive mental health initiatives. You may also be familiar with Holly through the excellent work that she's been doing over the years with WIMWA. So Holly, you are very welcome here. To finish off, arguing for a cage with golden bars, we have Cliff McKinley, who is the Manager of People and Culture at Evolution Mining. Cliff started off as an industrial officer straight out of university. In the subsequent years, he's worked in human resources across many sectors, including state government, emergency and health services and resources. Cliff's bucket list focus is to complete the world's 6 major marathons, having completed New York, Chicago and Berlin already, and has London, Tokyo and Boston to go. So clearly, Cliff, we can see you've got running legs, but let's see how your debating sea legs go this evening. So, without further ado, I'm going to ask Jeff to come forward. Jeff, you have 10 minutes. What have you got?
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to the Gold Industry Group for inviting and giving me the opportunity to talk about a topic that I'm very passionate about. In my 10 minutes, I'm going to try to convince the 21% of micromanagers out there that working from home is a golden opportunity. So, Shadow Minister, friends and colleagues, I stand before you tonight to propose the affirmative that working from home, a hybrid model, or any form of flexible working from home arrangement is a golden opportunity, not just for the employee, but also the employer. And by extension, our industry and our community. I'll go one step further and say that any employer that doesn't offer flexible working from home arrangements is detached from reality and will find yourself not competitive in a post-COVID world. COVID has forced us to change the way we work in an instant. And as we emerge from lockdowns and stay-at-home orders, the way we work is unlikely going to revert back to the way it was. Surveys have shown that 70 to 80% of respondents prefer some form of hybrid working from home arrangements. The reasoning is self-evident and the benefits to the individuals are undeniable. The 3 main reasons are, number 1, eliminating the ever-increasing commute time. According to the ABS, Australian workers in major cities spend average 67 minutes per day commuting. Time that can be better spent doing anything. Anything at all other than sitting in traffic or being squished into the train whilst being coughed on by strangers. Number 2, increasing productivity, where days working from home are for concentration and days working in an office for collaboration. Workers reported that the days they worked from home, they were as productive as when the days they worked in the office. This sentiment was broadly mirrored by the employers surveyed. And number 3, increasing workers' ability to balance work and home. A flexible working arrangement, and I'm not talking about letting people work 7 to 3 instead of 9 to 5, but a truly flexible working arrangement where people work the hours that complement their lives, allows them to prioritise what's important to them. The benefits are so great that many of the respondents said they are willing to change jobs or take a lower wage to continue to have their flexible working from home arrangements. I repeat, they are willing to change jobs to keep flexible working from home arrangements. I'm a husband and a father of a young family, and I was fortunate enough to have the luxury of a true flexible working arrangement with my previous employer prior to the pandemic, and continue to have this golden opportunity with Bellevue Gold, who is a massive promoter of flexible working conditions. My flexible working arrangements has allowed me to participate in events of my children, such as coaching sports and school drop-off and pickups that I would have traditionally missed out on. When my wife was ready to return to work after our first child, I was able to share in the childcare responsibilities, which made it significantly easier for her to rejoin the workforce and pursue her career and other things that were important to her. And just as importantly, I was able to spend time with my toddler son. Time that was fleeting and gone in the blink of an eye. Time that I'll never get back. And time that traditionally dads would have missed out on. The ability to do these things not only immensely benefited my family, but also the wider community. Working from home has also had unforeseen benefits for diversity. According to the Australian Government's Productivity Commission, prior to the pandemic, only 8% of workers had some form of flexible working arrangement, with the majority of these being dominated by women. The Commission attributed the low uptake prior to COVID to management practices, cultural norms, and stigma surrounding or associated with working from home. As we see a large uptake in working from home due to and post-COVID, these norms are changing. The stigma is broken down, management styles and techniques, and more importantly, performance metrics had to adapt. Studies conducted prior to the pandemic show that employees who worked from home got promoted less than their in-office colleagues. This translated to men, particularly young men, who came into the office more and stayed longer, got promoted quicker and more often. However, COVID has greatly disrupted the archaic clock-watching management style and eliminated the importance of liking the same football team as your boss altogether. When managers are not in the same space, most of the time as their employees, they measure performance on productivity and outcomes. Now, what a greater way to break down the boys' club mentality and increasing diversity than getting measured on your own ability to add value and produce outcomes. Another benefit to equality is the changing social norms around working from home has resulted in the shift in the norms around domestic duties. Prior to the pandemic, women dominated the working from home arrangements, largely to balance domestic duties. Mothers were expected to do the school runs, take kids and or pets to appointments, and if the kids were ever sick, it was predominantly mums who stayed at home or left work to go get them. With greater flexibility around work for both parents, studies are showing that domestic duties are being shared more equally, increasing true equality. Where equality is being equal with your partner, not your dad. Now, I don't need to quote a study or a survey to support this claim. You can all see this for yourselves in your everyday lives. As this is not a one-way relationship, it's also important to listen to what the employers want too. And surprisingly, they want the same thing. The Sydney Morning Herald conducted a survey of 50 of Australia's largest companies, which between them employ over 1 million staff. They found 96% of them were offering flexible working from home arrangements, with 84% confirming they are permanently adopting a hybrid working policy. The allure of a happier and more productive workforce benefits everyone. This is also true for the gold industry and is evident at Bellevue Gold. By offering truly flexible working from home arrangements and encouraging people to prioritise their professional and personal lives concurrently, we have seen a large uptake in working from home, with 76% of eligible employees utilising flexible working from home options. This has resulted in Bellevue being able to achieve industry-leading gender diversity, with 48.5% female engagement. With 100% of employees who are on maternity leave returning to the company, whilst boasting a turnover rate 33% better than the industry average. Our employee engagement survey showed that 92% of our employees are happy and will promote our company to others. This is something that we're all very proud of, and is largely due to us listening to what our employees want and aligning that with our business strategy. And to no surprise, allowing people to prioritise themselves along with work has not decreased their productivity, creativity, or their passion for work. And we are still on track to build one of Australia's greatest gold mines. Now, obviously, working from home is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Some enjoy the added flexibility, while others value the structure of an office and face-to-face interactions. The sweet spot is striking a balance between the two. The key is giving the employees flexibility and the freedom of choice. So, in conclusion, I say to you, working from home is a golden opportunity, not just for employees, but also employers. Times have changed. Employees want hybrid, flexible working from home arrangements, and the benefits to the individuals are profound and extend to organisations and the community. Employers, there are two possible outcomes from here. You can embed the culture of flexibility and retain your staff, or your employees will simply leave for a company that does. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you very much. A very strong start. Productivity and outcomes focus. Who'd have thought it? Novel concept. Some bold statements there. Just to clarify, we don't do coughing on public transport anymore. That has stopped. That's a thing of the past. Lisa, I would like to invite you forward. What have you got for us?
Good evening. And thank you to the Gold Industry Group for the opportunity to be part of this incredible night. And distinguished guests. Isn't there something special and magical in experiencing a night like this amongst our colleagues and across our industry? To feel the energy of a space like this absolutely humming with people. As social creatures, this is something we are hardwired to do. In light of recent times where we've been segregated, required to be socially distant, and confined to our homes, this is something we should no longer take for granted, and East Coasters are looking on. Maybe tonight you've already had the chance to reconnect with someone you haven't seen in a while and chatted about old times. I know I've seen so many beautiful faces and people and can see more in the crowd now. Now I want you to imagine missing out on all of this because this was just another webinar. For those watching on the recording, you really are missing such a magical event, and we would have loved to have had you here in person with us tonight. We have been incredibly fortunate so far and have not experienced the extent of COVID lockdowns some of our other states have endured. Many of us got a taste of working from home full-time with the endless Zoom meetings. And some also got to throw in a good dose of juggling homeschooling with the kids, just to really test our sanity. Working this way really blurred the lines of our sacred home sanctuaries and personal lives. Not to mention the crazy hours to catch up on the actual work. It really is no wonder that burnout is at an all-time high across our world. I'll admit, I do see the benefits of wider flexibility. And my fellow debater, Jeff, raised some of the positive points of working from home. Obviously, my task tonight that I've been handed is to highlight the wider reality, up against all odds. In my role, I am flexible and I manage my hours because my role and company allows that. Most days, I'm able to do school drop-off and can attend special family events. My husband and I equally share the picking up from school arrangements and things. However, I also see firsthand the challenges we face in an industry where roles are rarely independent, and we typically work in teams across multiple operational hubs. That is why many of us travel to sites, to meet with the high proportion of workers who cannot work from home. These people are ensuring our regional 24/7 operations run seamlessly. And this is not likely to fundamentally change because that is where the gold is. There is no digital technology which can replicate physical human interaction. Feel it amongst yourselves now. With collaboration suffering as a result of remote working and isolation being a common complaint, I'm sure we all felt it. If we aren't careful, a company's point of difference will mimic the airport concept. Same job, different plane. Let's consider that in the context of working from home. If you can plug in and never truly appreciate the culture of a workplace, the point of difference is minimal, apart from the lure of a higher paycheck, which we're all seeing right now, aren't we? Has anyone tried to onboard a new employee working entirely from home? For new employees, remote work can be alienating with no existing office relationships. I understand and have first-hand experience of parenting juggling act. As a mother who works full-time, I propose that our current childcare system is setting working parents up to fail. Thank you. A high proportion of those parents are the women in our industry who work from home to balance poor availability and options for care and to tackle the long list of responsibilities. If we had access to a childcare system which was affordable and flexible, it would allow all parents to experience the benefits of engaging meaningfully even, and building networks instead of hiding away at home, and at some stages performing jobs well beneath their capabilities. Not by choice, but by necessity. As an industry, we need to access all of this talent and at the peak of their capability. It may also be timely to reflect on our gender pay gap and the unfortunate reality, which has already been pointed out, that women working from home are also less likely to be promoted over their colleagues who are in the office. These colleagues build wider networks and form key relationships. They are automatically selected for the key projects that require flexibility and travel, and in turn broaden their experience and showcase their skill sets. In my experience, the days I am away from the office, which at Ramelius is typically a hive of activity, I lose a wider understanding of priorities and focus across the group. I don't absorb knowledge from random interactions or overhearing conversations. I cannot gauge the office energy or know where others are at. And most importantly, I'm unable to capture key decision makers in those 5-minute agreements running down the hallway or at the opportune moment in their office between meetings to give context and keep key projects moving. This is such a benefit in having executive at Ramelius all in one office. When I'm in the office, I get a sense of belonging and warmth, and I can see a lot of my colleagues in the front row, so that's lovely. that comes from the coffee catch-ups, the office pizza lunches, the birthday celebrations, and the side chats in the kitchen. These relaxed interactions allow me to connect with everyone across the office, something that would not happen online naturally. While we are talking about online engagement, I'm sure we've all experienced the buffering of a VC, which is rife for miscommunication. I experienced it myself today, and solidly relies on how many bars your Wi-Fi has on that day. As I'm sure we've all experienced, the moment you rely on technology, it will fail. Given experience and recent experience, I know our adjudicator agrees with me here. Also, not everyone has the luxury of a dedicated home office, which can heavily impact productivity. Our snap lockdown saw many people sharing the dining table with their whole family, including the kids, which presented some great entertainment on the VC, but also created a whole new set of challenges. Human connection is 93% non-verbal. Imagine what we miss in working from home, within our teams and offices, even by the dreaded VC. As a parent, we tell all our kids to get off the screens, to prioritise mealtimes together and form closer family bonds. What do you think those same screens are doing to our workplace culture? Isolation is not only impacting collaboration, it also impacts mental health. Lack of physical and social interaction leads to cognitive decline, depression and sleep issues. Wider flexibility options support employees' core needs, but not to the detriment of workplace culture and well-being. Remelius has an open and authentic culture, which allows people to be themselves. Our executive lead by example, encouraging and respecting people's time away from work. We all have families, and we all enjoy the shared camaraderie of working together to get results and giving back to community. I propose that if by choice people are wanting to work from home full-time, that they may just be working in the wrong place. Canvassing my colleagues and friends, there was a similar thread. They all want to be part of something meaningful, in a culture where they are motivated by the energy of a supportive team and with flexibility options that are tailored to their needs. There are organisations completely shutting offices right now. That doesn't give people a choice. The 2021 PwC Future of Work research ranked employee experience third in importance of what workers want from their employer. This includes relationships and networks that you're seeing tonight here, both formal and informal, co-workers, team spirit and energy. These are all factors which heavily rely on human interaction. Employee experience ranked third, with remuneration and well-being taking the first two areas of importance. Research shows that autonomous working from home across our sector is not desirable or sustainable. Organisations need to find ways to encourage wider options of flexibility which suit the individual employee without eroding workplace culture or hindering the collaboration we need across our industry to drive innovation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Some very compelling arguments put forward there. And of course, all of you, testament to the power of being present and connected and not a single pair of tracky dacks in sight. On that note, we'll let you all go grab a drink and a bite to eat, and we'll be reconvening in 10 or 15 minutes. Think deeply on what you've heard, and we will see what the last two speakers have got to give us. about to start the second half of our debate. So we've heard from 2 speakers, we have 2 more to go, and it'll be interesting to see where audience sentiment ends at the end of the evening. So if I could have everyone's full attention, we will begin. And I'd like to introduce Holly to the stage. Go, Holly.
Good evening. So my name is Holly Keenan, and to shorten my title, I'm a specialist mining engineer for AngloGold Ashanti. For those of you that do know me, you might have seen me at the Gold Industry Group Corporate Netball Day, and competitive is probably one of the top 3 words that you'd use to describe me. So when I was asked to do this evening, the opposition's basically a matador waving their red cape, and we should paint a white line on the floor to spark my white line fever. But it's nice to see that the odds are in our favour to start with. So, flexible work arrangements. The golden opportunity to change the hours that we start and finish, change the patterns of our work through shifts, split shifts and rostered days off, and the locations of our work, whether it's at home, on site or in the office. And a combination of these work locations is known as a hybrid working model. What is not meant by flexible work? And this will help with Lisa's point to saying that we need the human interaction. So flexible work is not only working from home and not being allowed to come into the office. Decrease in quantity or quality of work output and not going to site. So there's 3 main areas that I would like to address this evening. So the first is what we're currently seeing in the mining industry and how that benchmarks internationally. Some important points around the structure of hybrid working models, the impact of a hybrid working model on diversity and inclusion, and then finally I'm going to leave you with a challenge. And Lisa, you're going to love this one, and you know how much I like a challenge. We all have different living arrangements and lifestyles. Therefore, we have different preferences of how we like to work. So the focus this evening is whether flexible working arrangements are a golden opportunity, regardless of whether it suits your lifestyle, preferences, or whether you choose to use it. How could an opportunity for flexibility ever be considered a negative? The Harvard Business Review surveyed over 30,000 people from 31 countries and found that 70% of businesses plan to transition to a hybrid work model. This ranges from tiny businesses through to multinationals like Google and HSBC. Let's talk some stats. So 32% of workers never want to return to the office. They love it at home. 47% want a hybrid working model, and then the remaining 21% said they never want to work another day from home. And it's pretty easy to guess who these type of people are. People with small children in a shared housing arrangement, empty nesters that need that time in the office to get that social interaction. It's important to note that this could change if their living arrangements did change as well, or if their children grow up. So for that 21% that working from home doesn't suit your lifestyle, no worries, go into the office 5 days a week. But for the 79%, think of the value that a hybrid working model can add to people's lives, such as parents returning to the workforce, those that need to take business calls in countries outside of working hours, and avoiding the dreaded commute. We can make our work lives more powerful and productive. Let's talk about the mining industry and what's happening. So 17 gold mining companies were surveyed to understand what approach they're taking, and I'd like to acknowledge Nick Sutherland for doing this work in his personal time. As far as the process around working from home goes, it varies depending on the company. For example, smaller companies don't have any policies or procedures around it. It's managed by their supervisors, where other companies have an official employee engagement process, specified hot desks, and up to $1,000 to set up their home office. All 17 companies were open to a hybrid working model. Flexible work arrangements have become a desirable employee incentive, to the point of Lisa liking the the employee of choice and your work around that. So within the industry, with our skills shortage, I think it's pretty clear what companies' point of view should be on this. The golden opportunity is to revolutionise how our offices look. So both managers and employees are enjoying the opportunity to say, home days are for concentration and work days are for collaboration, avoiding the constant interruptions at their desk. Most employees are happy to trade off the use of their own facilities to be able to work from home, although during the dreaded toilet paper shortage, working from the office reduced the use of this precious commodity. Through structured hybrid work models, companies can make significant savings on office space and make the office a more inviting and inspiring place to collaborate. One of the arguments against working from home is isolation. And I want to take some time to focus on the structure of a hybrid work model, as I believe it can stamp out the potential negative feelings of isolation. So what's the best way for companies to approach a hybrid working model? It's important to survey each employee to understand their preferences. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Every team has different needs and their hybrid working model will look differently to ensure efficiency and optimisation of outputs. It's essential that as a team and as an individual, we have a clear set of shared goals and expectations of deliverables. It's also important that we understand what resources we have and any potential barriers that working from home and flexible work arrangements can have. We all know how important team culture is for driving success within an organisation. In order to maintain good team morale and feelings of inclusivity, it's recommended to structure teams to work in the office on the same days for collaboration. This way, you won't have half of the team in the office, half of the team dialing in from home. And the people at home won't miss out on the post-meeting coffee, which may make them feel left out. And the people coming into the office won't arrive at work and then their days are spent on online calls that they could have taken from home. Hybrid work is not just about the change in location of the workplace. It's the golden opportunity to change our most fundamental routines to become more efficient and optimised. As leaders, it's important that we focus on output-based management as opposed to the bums-in-seats presenteeism approach. It would be remiss of me not to talk about the golden opportunity for diversity and inclusion. Working remotely attracts talent that may not be available locally. We as an industry rely on talent within Australia to run mines in Africa, South America and Kazakhstan. If we're okay with people working remotely across different countries and continents, then I'm confident that we can do the same for a few days a week within our own city. I believe that flexible work as an option makes the workplace more inclusive as you're increasing the pool of applicants. And the increased pool size may include mums and dads that can't commit to a full week on site or a full week in the city. They may wish to work before the children wake up, during school hours or after the evening bedtime. I know site-based engineers and geologists that are currently stuck in the eastern states who now sit in on a morning Teams meeting, get their task list for the day and happily work from home delivering results. Some would argue that managers may be more likely to promote people that work in the office more often. Working remotely won't have a negative impact on relationships or job performance so long as managers' evaluation of remote workers is as fair as those of working in the office. Out of sight doesn't mean out of mind. Providing adequate feedback, developing and promoting people without proximity bias is crucial, especially when the statistics show that women with young kids are 50% more likely to want to work from home than their male counterparts. So my last point before my challenge for you. When working remotely, we can also reduce our Scope 3 carbon emissions in alignment with Australia's net zero emissions target for 2050. And regardless of whatever way we look at it, going to net zero will require a change in the way we work and live. So here it is. Prior to COVID, many businesses were apprehensive towards flexible work models. Then it was thrust upon them and they had no option. Employees have continued to meet expectations and majority love the new flexibility. So my question is, with the right systems and processes, does the long-term planning engineer who goes underground once a month really have to sit on site permanently? Does every member of the geology team need to be on site, or could we have a representative from each department that is delegated to do the underground inspections and allocate the tasks? We could rotate those responsibilities throughout the team. So we're transitioning operators to a remote operation centres. Why couldn't we do this for technical teams based in Perth? Companies could save on flights, catering and accommodation. We could have people home with their families more often and contributing more to their communities. And those who would usually be excluded from the site-based opportunities could be included back in the game. Thank you.
Fantastic job there, Holly. Thank you so much. Some very compelling arguments there, I have to say. Very strong performance. My only question is, there are some noble ideals there, but have we truly capacitated our organisations to deliver on those ideals? I think Cliff might be about to tell us. Over to you, Cliff.
Okay, firstly, I just wanted to quickly respond to Holly's statements. I was surprised. I didn't understand what side you were arguing there, and I didn't know if you were getting splinters, because basically most of your argument was sitting on the fence. So I got a bit confused, but well done for being on the fence. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's truly an honour to be here tonight. However, sitting to the side, waiting for my opportunity to enlighten you on the hidden evils of working from home, a sense of sadness came over me as I listened to two obviously bright mining professionals who have gulped heartedly from the tailings dam filled with Trump-like wishful thinking, alternative facts, fake news and propaganda that supports their view from working from home. But this should not be surprising. Aristotle summed it up perfectly. Youth is easily deceived because it is quick to hope.
Thanks, old man.
I am the old man up here, remember that. If you support their proposition, I fear that we are but a heartbeat away from the scenario depicted in the awful but scary Bruce Willis film Surrogates. If you don't know the reference, please Googleise it before you cast your vote this evening. And yes, I did turn Google into a verb, but please Googleise Surrogates. To my young friends on the opposing side, I suggest you watch Surrogates and think of Euripides, who said, "Whoso neglects learning in their youth loses the past and is dead for the future." My talented, persuasive and somewhat verbally intimidating teammate Lisa was Obama-esque in her brilliant discussion on how working from home negatively impacts the individual and particular women. I, on the other hand, will focus on the dangers working from home present to the organisation. It appears that every university lecturer, CEO and self-proclaimed HR guru have had a crack at defining the concept of organisation, but I like to keep things simple. An organisation is a group of people acting together in pursuit of common goals or objectives. The bricks and mortar or cement and glass do not in themselves make an organisation. It is the people motivated to act together in pursuit of common goals underpinned by shared beliefs and values. It's culture. You can never underestimate the value of your organisation culture. It is not only a tool to attract and retain staff, but it is your operating leverage. And your organisation's value, however the market assesses it, can be hard hit when your culture is questioned or harmed. Look at Facebook or any Australian rugby league club. What you may see as a new wonderful approach to employee motivation and satisfaction is actually creating and feeding the uncontrollable monster that will eat away at your hard-built organisation culture. The common threads and social norms that have previously brought your people together will not be the same, and there are new uncertainties around every corner. There's a sense of connection, a bond that employees build with their co-workers over time. This is stripped away when they're having to work from home. My friends on the opposing side may argue that the daily Zoom call or team check-in or the Friday Zoom cocktail catch-up will keep the culture going. Sounds cute, but very naive. Let us consider some research-based facts rather than the populism put forward by my friends on the opposing team. Zoom meetings in your PJ bottoms and work tops sound fun, but Zoom fatigue has become a serious social and psychological issue. One investigation has found that employees with previously good attendance records are taking more sick days when working from home. People who have a close friend at work are 7 times more likely to be engaged in their job. That feeling of family is key to anchoring people to a company, and that's done through meaningful personal connections. Gallup's research has found that working from home has an immediate impact on employees' sense of belonging and therefore your organisation's overall employment culture. For some employees, long-term remote working may be preferred, obviously for these two. But while the commute time has decreased, so have the opportunities for critical relationship building at work. Further, the disengaging effects of remote work can be serious as 17% lower productivity and 24% higher turnover. Consider the impact on new hires who join an organisation where working from home has been institutionalised. Researchers found that the new hires don't get to know their colleagues. This can result in 34% less peer recognition than their counterparts and being 20% less likely to acknowledge their company values. Working from home creates small group cultures, and these separate and diverse teams have a significant impact on the organisation and its ability to achieve its vision. How can an organisation be confident in the long-term viability and efficiency and effectiveness of working from home when researchers found that 1 in 5 employees working remotely complain of being distracted by family and friends, 18% report difficulty staying focused, and 16% complained of social isolation? The Atlantic magazine sums it up perfectly by observing that workplaces are complex ecosystems and decentralising them can obliterate the things that make them satisfying. I can rabbit on about research results all night, as there is simply an avalanche that supports the premise that remote working is detrimental to the organisation. I recognise that these stats refer to the impact on the individual and not specifically to the organisation. But think for a moment. If remote employees are reporting these impacts, how long will it be before productivity decreases, absenteeism increases, and your culture and brand are impacted? INSEAD has found that home-based working runs counter to employees' social and psychological needs. So we should not be surprised when we start seeing the workers' compensation claims start rolling in. I will now touch on the conflict between gender diversity in the organisation and working from home. For a moment, think of me as an organisation. I'm an organisation standing up in front of you. From a self-interested perspective, I demand to be gender diverse as it increases productivity and delivers better results. It increases retention. It builds stronger brand. It makes me desirable. Yeah. Thank you. It makes me a desirable employer with a good reputation and image. And it increases creativity and problem-solving ability. As a self-interested organisation, I am worried that a US study of 40,000 women found that 25% were considering leaving their role or significantly decreasing their hours due to working from home experiences. And that nearly 70% of women who worked from home are concerned that their career options have diminished. Fortune magazine found that women already underrepresented in many industries often find it difficult to be visible. Working from home exacerbates this invisibility problem. A McKinsey study in the US and the UK has found that working from home during the pandemic has further entrenched the gender-based stereotypical roles and adding new burdens to women, such as assuming the sports day run from their male partners. This is making it even more difficult for women to return to the office environment, further impacting my desire to be a gender-diverse workforce. A separate McKinsey study has found women make up 39% of the global population, but they accounted for 54% of job losses during the first 12 months of the pandemic. This, added to the difficulty women are facing in returning to the workplace after prolonged periods working from home, has further diminished workplace gender diversity. The University of New South Wales, in a very recent study, has found that women with young children often the primary caregivers, were opting to stay at home, having less face time with their managers, and are affecting their promotion prospects. As an organisation, I see working from home making me less diverse, less inclusive, and I will no longer experience the myriad of benefits that having a gender-diverse workforce has provided me. Last page. I will now spend my final few minutes directly addressing our proposition that working from home is no more than a cage with bars, not even gold bars, but pyrite, fool's gold. I like working from home to raising an albatross in a budgie cage. It may start out all okay, but as time progresses, there are significant consequences. Bear with me as I take you on the Willy Wonka journey. That's my thought process. Human beings are naturally social, inquisitive creatures with a genetic predisposition to learn and explore. We learn and thrive by being practical and hands-on. We learn by doing through mentorship and coaching and access to relevant real-time information. We are tribal. We want to be part of a group. We grow through collaboration and identifying with a purpose greater than ourselves. Trust in others, community, dedication to team, and camaraderie are important human traits. We thrive on spontaneous challenges, being thrown into the deep end. Gaining cross-function or cross-organisational experience is seen as a path for development, recognition, and even promotion. We have a need and a desire for our efforts to be recognised, notwithstanding what we may think, the human ego is a fragile thing. The bottom line is that we all want to develop, grow, see, and be part of the bigger picture. We need the opportunity and encouragement to spread our wings to their fullest potential. Working from home takes all that away. Okay, maybe not all of it, but a large enough percentage to make a difference. It limits your opportunity to be and achieve everything you could possibly be. Working from home is a cage. It may be a pretty cage to start with, all shiny and new, even with gold bars. But like the albatross in the budgie cage, you will never be able to fully spread your wings. Thank you.
Fantastic job, Cliff. Thank you very much. A very strong fight from the underdogs. They're undeterred by the towering bar of public sentiment against them at the start of this. Before we go any further, I'd like to extend my absolute thanks and appreciation to our amazing speakers this evening who have put a huge amount of time, work, effort and at times ideological flexibility to participate this evening. These speakers are asked to adopt a position. It may not necessarily be their own, but they go at it with absolute gusto, and you've seen that this evening. So can you please join me in thanking our fantastic speakers? Okay, and now to the vote. You need to go back to www.menti.com and use the code. It's too close to call. It could go either way. I think the odds have turned. Okay, I'm calling it. You've had your time. The team has it. Come take your crown. Fantastic job defying the odds to take the win. Very well done to you all. Look, I hope that you've all taken something away from tonight's debate, and remember to share your insights on social media using the hashtag DiversityDebate21. And thank you.